The US military looks into plywood drones. We take a look at some new fixed blades that I've picked up, pocket knives, KELTY's new external frame packs. I share with you where there's a bunch of deals going on for outdoor gear, and I share with you the verse of the day. So we got a lot going on in this episode of the Gideon's Tactical Show. Holy moly, there is a lot going on. I've missed you guys. Last weekend, I was on a retreat with my ministry that I work with and do a bunch of stuff with. It was awesome. It was totally good. God showed up. It was an amazing, amazing time. So I had to pre-record a bunch of videos, and then coming off of that, I lost my voice on one of the nights just because of all the talking and all the praying and all the different things we were doing, and it went in from my throat into my nasal cavity, and I had a horrible head cold till about midweek, so I wasn't able to work on any videos. You can still probably hear it in my voice. So gonna be doing a lot of makeup over the next couple days. You may even see a video hit Sunday, we'll see. And definitely through next week, got a couple videos coming down the line with all kinds of stuff, but we got lots to talk about in this particular episode, and glad to be back in the saddle again. So first thing I want to hit with you guys is this story that I picked up. I was just cruising on Facebook, like many of you guys do, I'm sure. And this is from Popular Mechanics. This story was written by Kyle, I'm sure I'm going to butcher his last name, MOOSEJAW. And it says, the headline is, "The Marines Plywood Supply Drone is undergoing flight tests." Whoa. And as you read along, what you basically come to find out is that there is a Logistic Gliders Incorporated under contract with DARPA and the U.S. Marine Corps for basically a plywood aluminum drone that is 10 feet long and has a 23-foot wingspan. It's called the LG-1K. And can carry up to 700 pounds of supplies, and is now flown 12 missions demonstrating its abilities to glide in some cases autonomously, so even without even any control, to a landing zone with GPS precision. So pretty cool. And the concept being that it has a flight speed of 135 knots. I'm just kind of making sure here. And it pops parachutes at 200 feet and comes in for a landing. And the concept is basically, if they're, particularly if we ever get in a war with China or just other different situations, but I think China and like small island hopping, like if we had to do that again like we did in World War II against the Japanese, and if Marines were pinned down in areas where they were behind enemy lines basically on a small island, and that enemy surface-to-air missiles were keeping supplies from getting dropped in either through helicopter, through parachute, you know, whatever, that an aircraft, particularly aircraft like the CV and MV-22 Ospreys, the tilted copter, you know, new aircraft that they're using, C-130s and C-17s, as well as many other types of helicopters, could carry these little plywood drones with supplies, fly up to where they know, you know, missile contact would be, dump these little tiny drones that are plywood and aluminum, so they would basically show up almost inconspicuous on radar, fly under the radar even in many cases, into locations and dump supplies to the military units that would be there. So up to 700 pounds of supplies. And let's see here. They cost between $4,500 to $11,000, so they're rather inexpensive, you know, one and done type of use. I'm sure it says that they can either be, you know, run in through coordinates, or if there was GPS jamming, then they could possibly be flown in. I believe an Osprey can carry up to 3, if I remember correctly, as I was reading. Yeah, I think an Osprey can carry 3 of them at a time, and obviously bigger aircraft can carry bigger ones. So super cool concept. You can read the article. Guys, I know I'm bad about putting links. I'll try and put the link below so you could read about the low cost plywood drone that they are testing out, which I think is a great concept. Cheap, does the job, and could definitely help us out in a situation with ground troops. So super cool little concept. Just want to throw that out there for you guys. I love giving you guys just news articles that I find that are interesting and things like that. So next up, I want to share with you guys some places that you can get some crazy good deals going on right now, and you want to jump on them like this weekend, because I think they're going to end in the next maybe week or so. And so they're limited time deals that are going on, as well as some new gear to possibly look at when you're looking on those websites. And so around April, end of March, April, a lot of websites, a lot of companies that are outdoor focused will do like springtime sales, 20% off any full price item, 25% off sale items. You know, like lots of companies will be doing that because you're starting to think about camping, you're starting to think about backpacking and adventures and hiking. And so they're wanting to get you obviously in the door or on the website and then purchasing, but it's a great time to get some gear that you're wanting to update, augment, you know, whatever it may be. And so some websites I would encourage you to go take a look at. One is the one that we partner with, backcountry.com has 20% off any full price item, or most full price items. I think there are a few exceptions to that, but very cool. And then they have sales on several other items as well. They have a lot of new arrivals coming in from many different companies. Some great ones, particularly at Backcountry, that I would take a look at would be, if you're trying to think of what would I spend my 20% off on, it would be Mountainsmith stuff is starting to drop over there. KELTY stuff is starting to drop over there that I'll touch on in a moment. So the new like Mayhem series and the new Apex series, they have updated them for Mountainsmith is dropping, and the Zip, and I believe the Ziffer, I believe the backpack that I just showed you, I'll just bring that in now. Yeah, this one is the ZYP. This is a 48 liter backpack is dropping, and they have this whole line now that they're doing for KELTY, and then again they're just doing updates. This is a brand new line for KELTY, updates for Mountainsmith. So those are dropping. The Mystery Ranch Scree, they've updated it with a couple little tweaks that I'm actually gonna be, I bought the new one, that's over at Backcountry, so you can get 20% off of that. That'll save you, you know, like, I think that'll save you like almost 40 bucks right now, because those are usually like 190, one of the best ergonomic bags I've ever used, and they've updated some things which are super cool, and I'll be doing a video in upcoming weeks on that as well. But lots of stuff going on Backcountry. MOOSEJAW as well, and I'll have a link for that. We don't partner with them right now, but they're doing 20% off any full price item, and a lot of stuff is 25% off. So super cool. They have also new Mountainsmith stuff. They have new KELTY stuff. They have a lot of Mystery Ranch, so you can go over there, check that website out as well. And you can look around. There are lots of other companies doing that right now. There are a lot of companies that are having their sales, and this is a great time if you're needing to get new tents, if you're needing to get new backpacks, you know, water purifiers, you know, those type of things. These websites don't carry a ton of blades. They'll have a few, and a lot of times they're like MSRP prices, so when they use the sale, you're basically getting them for what you'd buy on Amazon or anywhere else. So just FYI on that, check out those links below that will offer to you guys. They have a lot of new stuff hitting, or if you just need to augment, now is the time to do it. 20% off on a lot of stuff is great. So, and I'll transition right now into this Zip line, and what's really cool is that they have come out and they've decided to use kind of 8 as their number, meaning that they have a 28 liter, they have a 38 liter, they have a 48 liter, they have a 58 liter, and there might even be a 68 liter. I'm not 100% on the 68. I know there's a 58 liter, all in this design from KELTY, and there's Zip, and I think the bigger ones are called like Ziffer or something like that. But what the concept is, kind of an external frame, not quite like what we know from like the old school days and that KELTY Tioga that I have, that I've done one little hike with that I was really pumped about. This is kind of like a cross blend between an internal and an external frame pack. So the frame is external. You can see it throughout the entire bag here. There's an aluminum frame that goes all the way through on the exterior. And then these two shoulder pads, in the belt pad, basically very similar to what you would expect on an external frame bag. So there's this really nice bottom pad and hip belt, but then there's this really nice upper part, and so there's huge flow through, and the shoulder strap basically slides on this track up and down completely. You can see that, how much adjustment there is. This will go from 16 to 22 inch torsos, so that fits me. I'm about 21, so this should fit me. I have not gotten on the trail with this bag. The rest of it's pretty, you know, standard water bottle pouches on the side to, you know, stuff packs, different things like that. I think it's 220 denier, nylon, you know, I mean, it's a very basic bag in that sense. I mean, all backpacking backpacks, when it comes to like the contents, very similar, but the new suspension system, and you're gonna see that exact same style of suspension on all the leader sizes that I just named to you. Now I went with 48 because that's a great size for me to either test out a lot of gear if I'm doing a long day hike with a lot of gear testing with my drone and my camera gear and all that stuff, or if I want to either go super lightweight and we're trying to do something ultra light for like an overnighter, or I can lend it out to a buddy and I can carry some of the heavier, bigger gear with the Tioga, and then they could carry that if we're going to do a multi-day backpacking. So that's why I decided to go with that particular size, but the 38 would be a great day pack for a lot of people. And then, you know, they do have a 58, and then I think they might have that 68. I'm not 100% that I may be testing down the line, but super excited to test that out. I don't have data points for you on whether or not the system actually works, but so far it looks like it should be something, and if you want to give it a shot. And I forgot, Backcountry Edge also is doing 20% off any one item as well right now, and Backcountry Edge has these. So 3 different websites, totally forgot about that. And that's where I picked this one up, was actually on Backcountry Edge. So lots of websites right now. Any one of them, you could actually buy like one item from each one and get your 20% off, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, go check those out, guys. A few other items just to consider as well is that KELTY dropped an entire new tent line. As I told you, the Mayhem line is updated, and then Mountainsmith is also, this is a new update, their Clear Creek 20. Really good. This can carry up to 30 pounds is what they claim. I've done a little bit of light testing. We're going to do a video soon on it, but really good 20-liter pack. Has an external stuff bag, organizational bag, and then pouch, and then your main compartment as well. Belly strap, sternum strap. Really heavy duty, as you know, from Mountainsmith. Really well built for about 80 bucks. They have a couple different designs that are out there as well. So lots of excitement coming down the line with a lot of gear companies releasing a lot of new stuff. 2 other packs that I'd recommend you guys take a look at if you're looking for those really ultra light, like stuffable. And I'm waiting for one to arrive that I bought off of Backcountry with my 20% off. Is the Marmot compressor pack. They used to have just like 2 designs. They now have released an entire line of a 16 liter, maybe it's a 14 liter, 16 liter, 18 liter, 20 liter, and then like 2 larger ones as well. I got the 18 liter, has water bottle pouches, 18 liter bag, little zip pocket, sternum strap, and it has a little foam backing that either you can remove and completely collapse, and it weighs 10 ounces for that 18 liter bag. So that's a great either just light summiting bag, one to carry your gear in when you're doing backpacking. You're gonna like hang out for a couple days and do a couple hikes out from your backpacking location. Fantastic. That's like $55, so I got it for like 45 bucks with my 25% off. Or on Amazon right now, and that's really the only place I found this one, is a Sierra design that I will be picking up. A Sierra design, I think they call it like their compressor. No, it's not compressor, but something else, you know, like pack. It's an 18 to 23 liter. It compresses side to side, and that is very similar for about 50 bucks. So I'll try and throw as many links as I can all over the place for you guys. But those 2 also were packs that I'm really excited about, and one I'm picking up the compressor now, and I'll be getting the other one that we'll be doing some testing on our upcoming backpack and day trips. So, all right, next up, I can't remember if I showed you guys this one last week, but I've had a chance to now use it in the backyard a little bit. The new Gerber VersaFix Pro. They do have just the VersaFix, which is about $10 cheaper. I paid about $40 for this guy. That's about what this one's going for, and I think the cheaper version that doesn't have all the cutouts and doesn't have quite the same traction that they did on this one. I think that guy is, or maybe not the jimping, I don't know. That one's like $30. I picked it up just because we haven't done a Gerber large fixed blade in a while. It looked a little interesting, inexpensive, comes with a really good sheath. The sheath is a really good design. I really like that aspect to it. The edge sucked. The grinding was not good on it, meaning it was even, but it's just a wide grind angle. It couldn't do any sort of like carving with it. If I'm going to use it, I'm gonna have to completely reprofile the edge in that way to do any sort of like fine feather stick making. And I think it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, so it didn't really do well at batoning either. I could baton like little stuff. I haven't chopped with it yet, so we'll see how it does with chopping. But so far, you know, there's just so much else on the market. I'm not super impressed with the edge geometry that they decided to go with on the actual cutting edge, and then with the thickness. I mean, it's lightweight, you know, and it would probably be a good little like just hacker, but that's probably about it. So we will be doing a full review on that, but a little disappointed in the performance on that. I picked up the Bush Ranger light folder from Cold Steel. If I can get this in frame for you guys. Camera's being goofy today. There we go. Love the blade shape. This is 30 bucks, HCR 13 MOV steel, lockback design. Love the design of the blade and the handle ergonomics. They do have their new kind of like double lock on it. I'm 50-50 on that when you have a locking mechanism. It will, if you push it forward, you cannot disengage the lockback. I mean, that's nice. You slide it back, you can depress it, and then if you slide it forward, the blade will not deploy either. So, it's functional. I'm just more of just a standard guy when it comes to safety mechanisms. I did reach out to Cold Steel, and it sounds like they will be sending me over the full size version, meaning the one that does not have this locking mechanism. I think it's upgraded in the handle material, and it does come with S35 VN steel. So I'll be doing a head-to-head, putting those both together. But I'm really, for 30 bucks, I mean, this is a sick looking blade, tough, heavy duty, great for either outdoors or just heavy duty use, and it's not going to break the bank. So really excited about that guy. You'll see that coming down the line. All right, guys, and then finally, verse of the day. This is out of Daniel chapter 6, and this came to me because GT Jr. and I yesterday, we were reading our 5-minute Bible stories, you know, that book that I showed you guys last week, and that one we were reading about Daniel, and then I happened to find on YouTube an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon of the greatest adventures ever told, I think is, or greatest stories ever told, of Bible stories that I used to watch as a kid that are pretty, they're nostalgic, they're pretty entertaining. It's like 3 characters time travel back in time into different Bible stories and live it out alongside the main character, David or Daniel or, you know, Noah or whatever it may be. And so in this case, we watched Daniel yesterday, and it was cool to see my son. He had never really heard that story before. And it just made me want to share this with you, just that concept of a couple things, and regardless if you're a spiritual person or not, I believe some of these principles will really hit home with you. And these are all out of chapter 6 of Daniel. If you want to read the whole chapter, it's kind of a long chapter, but it's really good. You know, it's the full story of Daniel in the lion's den. But basically, that Daniel was a Hebrew, you know, captured and brought into Babylon, and then the Medes and Persians take over. King Darius, he's king. And Daniel is one of the like governors, one of the counselors for the king. And all the other counselors don't like him because he worships God. He is full of integrity. You know, they can be bought off, you know, corrupt like a lot of, you know, places have been throughout history. And so they try to find a way to basically find something that Daniel is corrupt in. He is not. He's trustworthy in all he does. We will never find anything of or basis for charge against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God, because he was very faithful to God. He would pray 3 times a day, face Jerusalem in his home, open the doors and just pray and thank God and ask for, you know, the children of Israel to be released and put back, you know, sent back to Israel. That was in verse 5. And so they make a decree basically that for several days, I think it's like 30 or 30 days, everyone has to worship King Darius. They can't worship any of their own gods throughout the entire kingdom. And Daniel says, no way. He's not a jerk about it, but he's just like, I'm not going to stop praying. I worship God. I'm not going to worship the king. I honor the king. I respect the king. I'll do what the king asks me to do. But in this case, I will continue to pray to the Lord. And so he does. And as soon as he hears the decree, it says in verse 10, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows were open toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed and gave thanks to God, just as he had done before. Then these men who had set this all up to try and, you know, trick him and try and capture him in breaking the law, basically went to as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish this? We found Daniel praying to God, not to you. Now you got to do something about it, king. And the king didn't want to do it. He was like, oh my gosh. And he figured out, like, you guys were just trying to trick him, but I made a decree. And back then, you know, it's like king can't go back on his word. And so the concept, regardless if you're a believer or not, is what comes to a point where that you have standards and beliefs that you go, regardless of what the king, quote unquote, the king in your land, the government, whatever, lays a decree that you're like, I can't do that. I'm going to continue to do what I know is right in my life. And, you know, thankfully in Western culture, that's not a huge problem, but more and more it seems like it could be, and it's becoming more and more where something that others deem not okay could end you up in jail. And a lot of people will just shrug it off and say, okay, then I won't do it for 30 days. You know, God will forgive me. I'll pray to this, you know, in this case, I'll just pray to Darius for 30 days. And then, you know, I'll go back to praying to God and he'll forgive me. But there does come a point where we need to stand up for what's right, regardless if it's in the morals that we believe in, or the way of life we believe in. And my question to you is just like, what is it for you? You know, and just to think about it. It's an important thought. It's an important concept of when is enough enough? And you're going to go, I'm not trying to cause a problem, but I know what's right and I'm going to do what's right. And that's what Daniel did. And they arrested him. The king had to follow through. They threw him in the lion's den. And if you know the story, that he spent a night in the lion's den, and you know, he was like, I'm not worried about it. God's going to protect me. And God totally protected him. And when Darius woke up the next morning, there was David with the lions just walking around, not bothering him. Or excuse me, Daniel. Did I say David? Daniel. He pulled Daniel out of the lion's den, and he said, and in turn, he threw the guys that had set the trap for him, because it obviously showed that he, you know, that his God was God. He threw those guys into the pit instead, and it says that at the king's command, this is verse 24 in chapter 6, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den along with their wives and children. Brutal times back then. This is King Darius, king of Persia. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. Dang. So just to show you that those lions were, it wasn't like, oh yeah, they fed them really well. No, those were starving lions, but they wouldn't touch Daniel. And then after that, it says, may you prosper greatly, King Darius said. And I wrote to all nations and peoples of every language in all the earth. May you prosper. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. And he rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. And so Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So just a really cool story, encouraging you that even when sometimes it could be scary and it could be life or death, to trust in what you know is right, and trust in the Lord, and he will bring you out of it. I've had to do that multiple times in my life, not up unto death, but I had to go, okay, God, I don't know what's going to come of this, but I know what the right decision is, and I'm going to take the right steps. And I've always seen God come out on top and you know, lead me out on top. So cool story. I encourage you to read chapter 6 of Daniel if you haven't in a while. It's encouraging, it's uplifting, and it'll challenge your thoughts on where you feel the line is in your life of, I need to stand for this, maybe in your job, in your family, in life, whatever it may be. So love you guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget about all those links again below. We really appreciate it. You guys help the channel go by watching, subscribing, clicking, and purchasing through those links that we offer to you, and we just appreciate it. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. And finally, guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. See you out there.